Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something every pilot needs to get their head around, especially if you're working on that ESA basic instrument rating. We're talking turbulence,
Yeah.
specifically how you manage rough air when you're flying IFR. Just imagine this for a second. You're in the soup, relying purely on your instruments, no horizon, and bang, your Cessna starts getting thrown about. Feels like a toy. Turbulence in IFR, well, it's more than just uncomfortable. It can actually be pretty dangerous. So our mission today is to give you some solid tactics for handling that rough area so you can stay in control when things get bumpy.
That's exactly right. And the sources we're drawing on here really focus not just on what turbulence is, but crucially, what you do about it.
Mhm.
We'll look at how to, interpret the severity light, moderate, all the way up to extreme, and maybe more importantly, the practical steps, the recommendations you can actually use. We're going to focus on the kind of rough air you're likely to bump into in your typical GA aircraft like a Cessna. So think convective stuff, clear air turbulence, CAET, and wake turbulence too.
Yeah, and this isn't just about memorizing stuff for the BIR exam questions. This is about what actually matters when you're up there in the cockpit. We'll talk about what these ideas mean during a real flight, how to remember them for the test and for the actual flying, and what examiners might look for versus what genuinely keeps you safe.
Right. So when you hit turbulence, the absolute first thing is figuring out how bad it is quickly. Our sources really stress knowing those categories: light, moderate, severe, extreme, because each one needs a different response, sometimes instantly. But what's interesting is that even what we call moderate turbulence, well, that can be enough to overstress the aircraft if you're going too fast.
Ah, okay. So knowing if it's light or moderate isn't just about whether you spilled your coffee then?
No, not at all.
It's the treater for specific actions, right?
Yeah.
Control inputs and, critically, airspeed. What's maybe the biggest mistake pilots make initially? And how does knowing the severity help stop that?
Good question. Often it's trying to fight it too much, over-controlling. The core idea, really, for any significant turbulence is pull the power back, slow down, get to your maneuvering speed. VA, that's not just an exam answer. It's maybe the most important safety buffer you have in rough
Yeah,
air.
maneuvering speed.
Yeah, because VA lets the wing stall before you bend the airframe. It protects the structure. And that specific speed, VA, you've got to know it for your aircraft. It's right there in the POH.
Okay, crucial point. So we've felt the bumps, we've maybe categorized it, slowed down to VA. What's next?
The plan depends on the type of turbulence, doesn't it? Let's tackle the big one first. Convective weather. Thunderstorms. Flying IFR, you can't just look out the window and dodge them like in VFR. You're on instruments, talking to ATC. So how does the strategy change? Well, with convective stuff, it really starts way before takeoff. Pre-flight planning is key. Honestly, avoiding these areas completely is always, always the best bet. In IFR, you're using whatever tools you have, maybe onboard radar if you're lucky, or services from the ground to steer clear. What that means in the cockpit is understanding avoidance isn't just about going left or right, it's altitude too. You absolutely do not try to climb over a thunderstorm or sneak underneath it. You've got to go around, by a good margin too.
Okay, clear message. Give thunderstorms a very wide berth. But what about when the sky looks perfect, totally clear, blue, and then wham, the aircraft jolts violently? That's clear air turbulence, CAQA, the invisible stuff. Can catch anyone out. I remember one time, smooth as glass, then suddenly everything not tied down was floating. So what's your advice for a pilot hit by surprise, CAT, beyond just grabbing the yoke?
Ugh, the invisible punch, yeah. It's unnerving. Many pilots think about the immediate control reaction, but like you said, slowing down is step one. But the real insight with CAT is often about anticipating it, especially if you know you're going to be crossing a jet stream or flying near mountains where there could be wave action. Proactively slowing towards VAB before the first bump can make a massive difference. It's that anticipation that marks a really prepared pilot rather than someone just reacting after the fact.
Thinking ahead. Makes sense. And the last one, wake turbulence. Those invisible vortices trailing behind bigger aircraft. This is a really big deal for us in GA, especially near busy airports or flying instrument approaches behind the big guys. For the test, okay, you learn the separation times, but in the real world, it's more about being smart, right?
Exactly. It's about practical airmanship. For instance, if you're landing behind a heavy jet, aim to touch down beyond where they touch down. Or if you're taking off after one, lift off before their rotation point.
Stay above their glide path, basically.
Precisely. Avoid their wake. It's about understanding the physics those vortices sink and drift with the wind and using visual cues or just smart positioning to stay well clear. They pack a serious punch.
Okay, so let's pull this all together. What does this mean for you, the pilot getting ready for the BIR, and just flying generally? We've covered some key tactics, some strategies for dealing with rough air when you're IFR.
Indeed. I think the main takeaway here is how vital it is to connect your pre-flight knowledge with really solid in-flight actions.
Oh,
Understanding those turbulence categories, having a clear plan for thunderstorms, for sea, for wake turbulence. It's not just theory for the exam, it's absolutely crucial for keeping control and staying safe when things don't go as planned. And what's really fascinating, I think, is how often the very best in-flight tactic actually starts hours before you even get in the plane, with good planning. Which raises a pretty interesting question for all pilots, doesn't it? How much more can we really integrate that pre-flight homework into our actual real-time decisions in the cockpit? Especially when it's bumpy, the weather's iffy, and you can't see the horizon.
that's a great thought to chew on as you continue your journey towards mastering instrument flight. Stay informed, fly safe, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.